All right, here we go. Okay. From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 42 of Fans Talk Lucha. Tonight, well, not tonight, yesterday. Yesterday was such a huge event. We had another ancient Aztec medallion on the line. We have a full match coming up next week. Then we also had a trios championship match and Mil Muertes versus Matanza Cueto in a graver consequences match for the Lucha Underground Championship. All that and more as we recap and react to Lucha Underground Season 2, Episode 16, Graver Consequences. My name is Garvin. Thank you all who have joined us live. We are testing out something new. Yes. Diva Jill's calling me a bearded hippie, but I am not. I'm not a hippie for sure. But let's go into it. Well, actually, before we begin, quick correction. Last week, I somehow missed the El Siniestro de la Muerte versus King Cuerno match. I saw the segments before and after, but for some reason I just missed that match. I hear I didn't miss a whole lot. It was a squash match. So yeah, I still have not watched it. I will go back and check it out. But El Siniestro won the match. The ancient Aztec medallion was on the line for that match, so he was entered into the Gift of the Gods championship match. But we started off this week. Cueto, it was a video package. He met the guy we saw who talked to the police chief a few weeks back, and Cueto handed him money. They were at some kind of nightclub or bar, and he tells Cueto that the police have opened up an investigation, that Cueto has become sloppy, and warns him that most likely someone is on the inside. Cueto denies this, says that he would know. Obviously, he does not. But the guy, he made it clear that his employer will be coming to the temple next week, and to meet Cueto. And the temple is very important for his employer. So overall, we're getting a lot of continuation of that story. I'm really excited to see where that goes, to see who this employer is, who is involved. And I actually will skip ahead here. The final segment of this week's episode included a video where the man had entered into a limo, and he handed the $50,000 that Cueto gave to him to his employer. The lights in the limo turned off at that point. There was a lot of tension. It was very obvious that this man fears his employer, and he said that Cueto believes that Matanza is the most powerful person, the most powerful man, but that he knows that his employer actually is. So we're going to see a confrontation very soon, next week, most likely, but some ideas, some ideas of who that could be. The live chat right now is saying that, you know, could be Antonio Banderas. I don't agree. The guy is named Delgado. Okay, thank you, Diva Joe, for pointing that out. His name is Delgado. Appreciate that. I don't know. The employer lit a cigar. Now, if we go historically, what we have seen thus far in Lucha Underground from season 1, is there anyone who lit a cigar before? Thank you, Diva Jill. Big Rick back from the dead. I'm actually curious about that myself. That's who I have listed down here. Big Rick as the employer. Now it's hard to imagine that Big Rick would be in this position, but still, if we were to choose someone who would be in that spot right now, it would definitely be Big Rick. Or, you know, the obvious is someone new, someone that we have not seen before. So yeah. Ishmael's saying he doesn't think it's Big Rick. I honestly don't know. I don't think it's Big Rick either. I would imagine it's someone new that we have not seen before. All right, so no other major segments or videos this week. It was pretty much match after match after match. The first match was Cortez versus Joey Ryan versus Cisco, a triple threat match, and an ancient Aztec medallion was on the line. So basically, Cueto had set this up because this was a team of you know, people that didn't belong together. So, I mean, obviously Cortez and Cisco have a connection inside the temple. Ryan and Cortez have a connection outside of the temple that no one knows about except for us. But, you know, overall, they're just three opposites, basically. So, so Cueto booked this match, and it was pretty meh. It was pretty meh overall. I thought it was, you know, it was what it was supposed to be. You know, we saw some good stuff between Cortez and Cisco. They work very well together in the ring as far as competing against one another. Joey Ryan, you know, that sleazy Weasley heel that he is, or Rudo that he is, you know, kind of went out to the outside and, you know, stole the win. He stole the win, got the pin, got the ancient Aztec medallion, put it into his trunks, and walked away. So, yeah, that basically leaves us with what the Gift of the Gods title match will be for next week. It's going to be Joey Ryan versus El Siniestro de la Muerte versus Tejano versus Sexy Star versus Aerostar versus the Mac versus whatever is going to happen between Cage and Chavo. The only prediction I have is that Cueto will book Cage versus Chavo in maybe the opening contest to just determine who is the rightful owner of that. I mean, obviously we know it's Cage. Chavo stole it, but it will be interesting to see how we move past that. How, you know, one person is chosen, or, you know, maybe there is just an extra person added to this, that Cage and Chavo are both entered into this match. So only time will tell. We also had Ivelisse, Son of Havoc, and Johnny Mundo versus Prince Puma, Rey Mysterio Jr., and Dragon Azteca Jr. for the Trios Championship. Yes, I did say Johnny Mundo here. Cueto had made the choice that Ivelisse and Son of Havoc would get their rematch for the Trios Championship, and he gave them a partner. That's what we were told by commentary. So he chose Johnny Mundo. You know, overall, this match I thought was very good. I thought this match, you know, really showcased how good everyone in here was except for Johnny Mundo. Johnny Mundo was, you know, there. I still really love the combination of Ivelisse and Son of Havoc. Again, they're two different styles, but they seem to work very well together. I am very curious on how that is going to, progress moving forward. Knowing that Angelico is out for an undetermined amount of time. Like, they still haven't really explained it on TV yet. Ivelisse, Son of Havoc, if they don't have that partner, if they don't have Angelico, do they continue going after the Trios Championship as we continue to move forward, or not? And where else do they fit right now? So the other notes that I made in this match, Rey Mysterio, again, I had very low expectations for Rey based on what we saw in his last run with WWE. He was overweight. He was very slow, very sloppy, but he looks incredibly, incredibly good. I think, at least, as far as Rey goes, as far as where he is in his career, where he is in age, I think overall he looked very good in this match. My question, though, and feel free, those in the live chat, talk about this in the chat. Is Johnny Mundo a good heel? I'm asking because I'm questioning where I really sit with Johnny Mundo. Like, is Johnny Mundo, do I despise and hate Johnny Mundo because he is such a good Rudo? Or is it just because he's a bit boring? He has a lack of character. He you can add a whole assortment to this, but I really have a hard time appreciating what he does. And this doesn't just pertain to what's happening in Lucha Underground. This also, goes back to how he ended his career in WWE. I'm curious, overall, looking at what the live chat is saying, that Mundo plays a perfect heel. Diva Jill says that she thinks he's a great heel. I definitely think he plays the Rudo part very well. I just have a hard time of completely completely appreciating it, and I don't know what I don't know what is stopping me. I mean, obviously, I think what he does in the ring, what he does on the outside when it pertains to his matches, is good. It's that solid heel, the solid Rudo type character. Yes, Beanbag says that, he's a fantastic heel. He's a dick. That's the character, and I get it, and I think I like that part of it. I just don't know. If I have made a room for myself to completely appreciate him overall. Like, there's just something about him, and I don't know if it's just the way the story has gone thus far, or if it's something else. But there's always something bothering me about Johnny Mundo, and what he does. Taya, though, and she's being mentioned in the live chat. Taya is fantastic. Like, I have no qualms whatsoever with what she does as a character, what she brings to a match on the outside. Her physicality is so good. So yeah, I have nothing negative to say about Taya. Another note about this match that I thought was interesting. Matt Stryker said, and this was at the end of the match, Son of Havoc was laying on the ground in front of the corner. Prince Puma was on the outside, ready to get that tag from Rey Mysterio. And he said that Rey basically gave Puma a chance to make himself a star. And when Puma hit his finisher, You know, that 630 somersault splash thing that he does. He basically said that because of Rey Mysterio passing that torch, that Puma was made a star, that a star was developed there. 630 Centon. Thank you, Nick. I'm questioning that statement only because, like, wasn't him holding the championship for almost the entire season 1? Like, wasn't that what made him a star? Like, he needed a rub from Rey Mysterio to put him on the map or something? I just thought it was an odd statement. Like, why say that? Like, why make Rey Mysterio the guy that makes Puma the star rather than the fact that Puma was already a star here in Lucha Underground? Okay. That leads us to Mil Muertes versus Matanza Cueto in a Graver Consequences match. There was a segment earlier on that did build up to that. And we'll go on to it. And, you know, live chat continues to, you know, talk about this whole Puma Rey Mysterio Matt Striker thing. You know, Nick saying that, you know, it was definitely hyperbole. That is something that Striker does. Striker marks out for the wrestlers. And I get that, you know, I get that. I just think it was just still an odd statement. And obviously, again, live chat saying this, there is some validity when you recognize that a legend like Mysterio allows someone like Prince Puma to take that spot, or to at least, you know, recognize that Puma is at the same level. And I get that too. You know, I just feel, again, like the championship, him holding the championship for as long as he did, like, that's what made him a star. His work in Lucha Underground prior to this match is what made him a star. Rey Mysterio had nothing to do with that. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. Okay. So, Mil Muertes versus Matanza Cueto. Graver Consequences match. Lucha Underground Championship on the line. Prior to this, backstage, Katrina interrupted Mil doing some meditation again with all the candles, the dark, the spookiness of that normal scene that we see. She tells him that, you know, everything that has happened until now was part of her plan. So him being put into the casket earlier, or I'm sorry, not into the casket, but him, you know, him dying and her bringing him back to life. You know, that was all a part of her plan. And she has been waiting. She has been waiting 197 years for this all to, you know, take place. And basically, you know, she went on to say that, you know, tonight, when Mil puts Matanza into the casket, before he closes the lid, she is going to lick his face, and thus the two of them will become immortal. It's gonna let that simmer, I guess. It's very, very, very cool, very interesting. It's, again, you know, that quote unquote weird side of Lucha Underground and how they tell stories. I really enjoy that side of it. Very sci-fi. I think it is very, very cool. So, oh yes, thank you, Nick, in the live chat. She was going to lick the face of a god, and I did make a note of that. That was an interesting thought, that Matanza was a god. Matanza is a god that was trapped in mortal flesh. I thought that was interesting. You know, again, we're still trying to learn We're still trying to get a grasp of like who the gods are, who these families are, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. But to suggest that Matanza was a god, I thought was an interesting take. So the match, graver consequences, Lucha Underground Championship on the line. If you wanted a brutal match, you got the match you wanted. If you wanted basically the continuation of what we saw last time that these two went up against one another, you got it. Straight up, you got it. It was a very brutal, very brawler heavy match, just to see like who could knock down the other and make sure that they stay down. We saw the turnbuckle, the little iron piece that holds the turnbuckle in place. That was taken off. Matanza used it on Mill. Mill's mask was half ripped off. So good as far as like the imagery, and obviously like that opened up Mill, so you saw the blood. Lots of different slams, suplexes, throws into the coffins, which is such a hard thing to watch for those of us for those of us who witnessed something very similar between The Undertaker and HBK in years past. Shawn Michaels, it almost ended his career because he landed on the casket. So just the visual of that. And we've all been, well, not all of us, but a lot of us have been to funerals and wakes. We know how hard that that casket is, and to see them just throw each other into them, it's a hard thing to watch, for sure. Some good spots, some very good spots in this match included, at one point, Matanza had Mill in a casket, was within inches of closing the door, with only Matanza to punch through, grab Matanza by the throat, and slam him face first into the lid of the casket. That was so cool to see. He obviously Mill escaped at that point, but it was such a good, awesome visual, from the sci-fi standpoint, from almost looking at these two as superhero type guys that Mill could punch through the top of the canvas. I thought was really cool visual. We also saw some wooden chair shots on the outside, so I think both Mill and Matanza had received those chair shots, but also Katrina received a chair shot. So crazy. This basically incapacitated her. Matanza took the stone, threw that into a casket, theoretically breaking that, that power that the stone has on Mill. Put Katrina into the casket and closed the lid. The match ended with Matanza putting Mil Muertes into the casket. The crowd was livid. I'm curious, live chat, what you thought about Matanza being the winner. It seemed like a lot of the audience was completely against it. I don't know if I am. I mean, again, I like Mill. I like the story that he has surrounding him. I like his wrestling style, his moveset. Matanza, though, I'm on the same side. I don't know if I'm totally into the story as much, but the wrestler Matanza is awesome, is so awesome. So live chat is saying that the match between the two was very, very like horror film style. I completely agree with that, especially with the fist going through the casket. Definitely signs of that. Nick is saying that, looking at grave consequences or graver consequences in comparison to last week with the No Moss match, that it's almost a pale in comparison. And I'm in agreement with that. I think if we do compare the two matches, the story, the energy that went into both of them, the match itself, I think I'm with you, Nick. I definitely liked the No Moss match a lot more than this. I think this was good. The storytelling, the visuals that we got, but comparing this match, graver consequences versus grave consequences between Mill and Phoenix, I think that match went was a lot better than this. This again was a continuation of the last time Mill and Matanza were together. So if you combine the two, we do have a better picture. But yeah, I mean, for sure, it does not live up to other things that we have seen. King Cuerno, at the very end of the segment between Katrina and Meal, showed up. He kind of almost as if he was stalking Meal and Katrina. And at the end of this match, he unveiled himself as one of the body collectors. So it is really interesting, what role King Cuerno plays here. And obviously there's an opportunity here, with Katrina gone, with Meal gone. That leaves the door open for King Cuerno to continue on what he wants to do. Otherwise, he was always kind of like in their shadow based on the partnership that they put together. So I'm definitely interested to see what happens with that. The other thing is, and I should note this. I said Katrina was gone. Katrina was gone. However, Cueto opened up the casket almost as if he was going to taunt the quote unquote dead Katrina, and she wasn't there. She was gone. Disappeared. So who knows? But I have a feeling that we haven't seen the last of Katrina. Obviously, knowing the past, we haven't seen the last of Meal. But yeah, overall, I think there's a lot of good stuff to take away from this match. I know that there is some displeasure or ineffectiveness that King Cuerno's involvement had with some members of the live chat. Again, you can join us live by becoming a member of the Squared Circle of Trust at squaredcircleoftrust.com. We record every episode of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling Live, as well as Fans Talk Lucha Live. Normally we try to do that. But yeah, you can join us in the live chat and join the live audio feed. But yeah, so overall, that was this week. It was a good episode. Again, if we are going to compare, which Nick in the live chat was, it did not necessarily overshadow how good last week was. I completely agree with that. I think that is an accurate statement. Specifically, the No Moss match, that was so good. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. We're going to go into wins and fails. Everyone in the live chat, I have a poll ready for you. Actually, a Q&A. All you got to do is leave a comment. What were your wins of the week and what was your fails of the week? And I'll include that in the conversation. But we need to acknowledge that this episode of Fans Talk Lucha and pretty much everything else that we do, it is primarily funded by you, our Patreon subscribers. All you have to do is go to squaredcircleoftrust.com, pledge as little as $1 a month, and that dollar a month or more goes a long way for sure. So, because of your help, we're able to fund this. It's not completely on our shoulders. It's not money completely and exclusively out of our pockets to put this together. You are helping us. So thank you, everyone who has pledged, either in the past or currently. And if you haven't started to support in that way, and you do enjoy our time together each and every week, please go to squaredcircleoftrust.com. Pick the tier that best suits your needs. We've got a $1 tier, we've got a $3 tier, we've got a $5 tier. Definitely take a look at the perks of each, and yeah, join us over in the Squared Circle of Trust. Now let's get into wins and fails. I think for me, my win of the week, it has to go to realistically, I think it just has to go to the story that's being told between Cueto, and I forget his name, Delgado. I think that's what his name was. But the police, or the guy that was working for the mayor that approached the police chief. I think that story overall has so much that could happen that I'm really excited to see what goes on. Councilman Delgado, thank you. I am really looking forward to how that continues. And yeah, so for me, that's my win of the week. Wins of the week from the live chat, we've got Mil Muertes versus Matanza in the Graver Consequences match. We've also got wins for Katrina disappearing, Cuerno hunting, and the trios match with Ray giving Puma, the opportunity to shine. So those are our wins of the week. Fails of the week. This is always difficult because it's rare that something negative happens on an episode. It's rare that something would constitute a fail. But I think for me, my fail is going to the fact that we have not gotten an answer on Chavo and Cage. Who is the rightful owner of the Gift of the Gods? A title match shot. That's, to me, that would be my fail. If I had to pin a fail on anything, it's that I want to know for sure that Cage is going to compete in that match, not Chavo. I would actually prefer if Chavo was removed from my TV viewing. But that would be my fail of the week. We've also got some fails from the live chat. Katrina being put in the casket. Obviously, some people were wanting Matanza to lose. No real explanation for Angelico being out. I mean, we have not been told what exactly happened. We have not been, shown highlights or a replay or any type of video to kind of explain that. It has been kind of pushed under the rug, and Angelico is out. So we cannot compete in these trios championship matches. But right. Nick in the live chat, oh, he got hurt. That sucks. And that's it. That is all we've gotten. So I'll agree with you. I think knowing how good Lucha Underground is at storytelling, they are really dropping the ball there. And it's curious why. It's curious why they aren't delving into something, at least implying. If they would imply that someone took Angelico out, I mean, that would be great. That would be suspense-filled. So, yeah, I'm with you there. We conducted a few polls with the live chat. What was the match of the night? The match of the night, according to the live chat, goes to Meal versus Matanza in the Graver Consequences match. I'm sort of with that. I almost would put more weight into the Trios Championship match as far as a wrestling match goes, not the story. As far as a wrestling match goes, that was a pretty good match. Mill versus Matanza, the story, that's the better story for sure. So, and I also pulled the live chat. Who would earn your Luchador of the Week? So we see this Cricket Wireless Luchador of the Week ad, and it's always someone who wasn't even on TV last week. But we want to do something like this as well. So who was the Luchador of the Week based on what happened this week? We got a vote for Rey Mysterio, some votes for Dragon Azteca Jr., King Cuerno. I'm all for all those names. Well, actually, no. Let me take that back. King Cuerno. I because of what's happening, I'm interested. Rey Mysterio Jr., Dragon Azteca, specifically with Dragon Azteca Jr., like nothing happened with him that really got put into memory. Prince Puma did some good stuff. Rey Mysterio did some good stuff. That's definitely where my Luchador of the Week votes would have gone instead of Dragon Azteca. But yeah, I don't have any additional names to throw there. And then we need to start predicting who will hold the Gift of the Gods Championship. So if you haven't voted in the live chat, go ahead. There's a new poll right now. Who will hold the Gift of the Gods Championship? We have Sexy Star, El Siniestro de la Muerte, Tejano, Cage, Chavo, Cage or Chavo, I would imagine, the Mac, Aerostar, and Joey Ryan. They are all competing for the Gift of the Gods Championship next week. And we've got 2 votes. We've got votes for Sexy Star to win. I just cannot see it. We've got a vote for Cage. That's where my vote goes. My vote goes with Cage. Actually, we just got a new vote. It's 50-50 right now. Sexy Star, Cage. I would say out of the favorites, I would put Sexy Star and Cage there. You might put the Mac there as well, as far as guys who could really do well with that. But for me, I'm straight up sticking with my previous prediction. Cage. Cage will go on and become the new Gift of the Gods champion. Curious if you're listening to this on demand or watching on YouTube, put your votes in the comments. Let me know what you think. But yeah, for me, it's definitely Cage. And that's it. That was this week in Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground Season 2, Episode 15. This series, as well as the rest of the podcast released through fanstalkpodcast.com, are supported exclusively by our Patreon subscribers, and you can subscribe today for as little as $1 a month to receive early access to our content, as well as get your ears on some exclusive content that we produce throughout the month. Definitely want to send shout outs to Nick, Beanbags, Ishmael, Diva Jill. Thank you for joining the live chat tonight and helping me test this new thing that we're doing. We might stick with, and we most likely will not. We'll probably go back to Mixler. But yeah, overall, thank you. Thank you for talking some Lucha Underground with me. And with that, my name is Garvin. We'll see you next week.